Third phase of moon. Third phase.
Welcome back, Blake Cousins, Third Phase of Moon, Venice. Right here, we're here on location, asking people, the general public, what they think about the UFO phenomenon. We're right here. Hey, thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase. Hey, can you tell our viewers right now what you think is going on in regards to the UFOs?
I think they're out there. We're not alone at all. It's definitely happening. It's definitely real. And whoever doesn't believe it should start believing, because there's something going on for sure.
Right here, Venice Skate Park, eyewitness testimony from a UFO sighting right here. Your name is?
My name's Taylor.
Taylor, tell the people about your UFO encounter. Go ahead.
Well, the sighting was in Canada. It wasn't around here. And basically, what happened? Me and two buddies we were sitting around, and it was actually me and four buddies, and just two of us were able to see it. We were facing his house, and then what came by, it was like a flat. It was like a kind of like an orb, but it was like metallic in a sense, and it comes, flies in for 1 second. We both get to catch an eye, and it's just gone like that. And like, there's nothing. I knew something was up, and we felt all like weird about it, like that. No, there's something to this. There's more to it.
Right here, your thoughts on the UFO phenomenon, real or not? Is the government going to expose the truth?
They won't, but it is real.
Phase. Third. Phase. Third. Phase.
Other time I seen it, we were in Cuba, and me and my two buddies were just at the resort, and we look up and we see this weird type of, I couldn't really describe. It's kind of like a long kind of ship thing in it.
Cigar shape?
Yeah, and it like you saw it for a second, then it was just boom and gone. So you're going definitely faster than you could really think right there. So definitely knew something was up there. But it's weird though, after you witness something like that, you're kind of in the head. It's hard to describe in a sense, right? Because you don't usually see anything like that ever, and then once you witness it, it kind of blows your mind.
Well, the phenomenon is usually when people see a UFO for the first time, even if they have a camera on them, they don't even have the idea to take pictures. They're just kind of in a shock and awe, kind of overwhelmed by the whole experience. Is that what it's kind of like? You just kind of a group?
Yeah, we didn't have any cameras or nothing anyways, but there wouldn't have been time. Like, you see it, it's gone, type of thing. And that was both scenarios when that kind of went down.
People have been coming forward as we're here at Venice Beach reporting about the UFO phenomenon. More eyewitness testimony right here. Your name, sir?
Adrian.
Adrian, tell us about what you saw.
I'm in the Air Force. We see UFOs all the time. What's flying around? We don't know. Why is it on radar? Because it's so big. What is it? A phenomenon.
Third phase of moon. Third.
We're here with Sean David Morton, best-selling novelist in regards to phenomenon, UFOs. Right now, Sands of Time, bestseller. We're going to be getting into questions in regards to UFOs, Area 51. First of all, is Area 51 active as we speak?
It's active now, but it's active mostly for top secret aircraft, ramjet, scramjet stuff. It's all pretty advanced, but the famous 9 flying saucers that were there, that were transported from Wright-Patterson, the famous Hangar 18 in Wright-Patterson, Ohio, those all got moved to Utah, to a place called Area 6413, which is in the middle of the what they call the Dugway Proving Ground, and it's all surrounded by biological toxic chemical sites. They put like dead cattle and signs that say nerve gas and all that. So that's where most of that stuff is. And as a matter of fact, the majority of the majority of the Space Command stuff, they had NORAD, which used to be in Cheyenne Mountain, that they moved to Colorado Springs, and now they're moving NORAD back into Cheyenne Mountain because they're afraid of an electromagnetic pulse, which is very strange. So everything is moving back into Cheyenne Mountain, and but the main facility is actually underneath. This is the super top secret base, which is underneath the Kings Peak in the Uinta National Forest in Utah, which is where they now have the real U.S. Space Command, the U.S. Space Command that's coordinating activities throughout the solar system. So for protection of Earth from whatever they think is out there.
So as far as relocation of Area 51, did they, bring this flying saucers to this new location, fly them there? How do they, logistically get and relocate this top secret?
There was an order that was made by a gentleman that gave me the notes to write my book, Sands of Time, and they didn't know what to do with them because they couldn't work them, they couldn't even open them. So that's why they shipped them there, I think in about, when was it? 86, I think. Might have been a little bit sooner than that, but it was around 86 or 87 or so, where they had the 9 craft, and at Area 51 they actually figured out how to open them and how to fly them, how to pilot them. And strangely enough, they couldn't figure it out because nobody had the guts to just get in one of the ships and actually sit in the seat. And they found that when you sat in the seat would kind of poof up around you like a beanbag chair, if you will. And that's what actually then triggered the mechanisms to turn on the consoles and make it work. But the biggest thing they were interested in was not so much the propulsion system or even the anti-gravity stuff inside the ships. They were interested in the time travel aspect of it, because the ships could actually expand and dilate time. That was the biggest thing, because people would get in the ships, they would spend, I don't know, an hour flying around and come back, and there'd be 22 hours on the clocks. So it all became a relative time-based thing. So that's what they were the most interested in, was how do these craft and these ships actually dilate time? Because that was our biggest goal over the last 40 years, was the ability to somehow manipulate and possibly shift or change time. That's what they think is going to be the atom bomb against the Japanese, if you will, as far as what they believe is an extraterrestrial threat.
Absolutely incredible testimony right here. We have Dr. J and Ilias on location. He's going to get some questions into Sean David Morton here. Let's get to it.
Sean, I got a big question for you.
Okay.
Everyone talks about the reverse engineering, the reverse technologies,
right.
And Wright-Patterson was supposedly the place where everything went to from Area 51. What do you think about that theory?
Well, it went back the other way. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio was where it was a repository for what was going on with Project Pounce. And Project Pounce was, every time there was a crash, anytime there was anything extraterrestrial that they thought was going on, they would send the Pounce teams out to recover and retrieve. And that really kind of started with the Roswell crash in '47. So they had the 9 ships that were either shot down or gotten in some kind of deal. And then at Area 51, they needed to study those ships, so they actually had them all shipped from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base into Area 51. Now, eventually, after they were doing their research on them, they actually built a special hangar that was just over the hill from what they call 5-1, near Papoose Lake, which is just in a pass the other side, which is an area called S4. And S4 was where they actually built a hangar into the side of the mountain, and then there were 5 levels going down underneath it, which included the top level being the saucers and ships, scientist offices on the 2nd level, security on the 3rd, 4th, and then the 5th level was what they call the ambassadorial suites, where they actually had various races and species of ET bodies, and supposedly the 2 captured aliens actually from a crash in the Kalahari. And you can actually see that. I actually worked on part of that, which is called the Alien Interview, and it was 2 minutes and 55 seconds that a guy named Victor actually pulled out of 5-1, and it stood the test of time. It's almost been 17 years after that. No one's come out and said they faked it. No one's taken credit for it. And the more we study that footage, the more we find that it's realistic. So the other question I think you have.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all,
about the newer stuff.
The fact that Area 51 is now acknowledged by the government, I don't think anything there is anymore. Just like you said earlier, right?
It's all top secret. It's more ramjet, scramjet technology. Even the mundane stuff is getting so advanced now. So, for example, they've done away with the SR-71 Blackbird. They never replaced it with anything. Then you had the Aurora project, which was a plutonium pulsed pellet drive that left the famous donuts on a rope contrail. They had something called the pumpkin seed, which created a series of sonic booms and then would surf the shockwave. And now they've got stuff like the TR-3B Astra. And the TR-3B Astra takes 8 men to pilot. And in the center of the Astra is it's a quantum field drive. It allows the ship to actually create a field around the craft and then bend space-time for it to jump or teleport actually from one place to another.
Let me ask you about Dulce. A lot of people talk about Dulce having 7 levels, different ETs
Correct.
living there.
Yes.
What do you know about that? Do you think that's an active base?
I know everything about that. I'm probably one of the foremost experts on the Dulce Mesa because Dulce, which is in northern New Mexico, it's just south of Durango, Colorado. In 1989, I was part of a scientific team that actually went and sounded the base. We kind of took up a bet, really. There was a UFO investigator who was saying that he made up Dulce and the whole thing was fake, and that he just released it into the UFO community to show them, oh, UFO investigators are stupid because look, I just made up this whole thing. We took offense to that. So myself, Dr. Fred Bell, the late Dr. Fred Bell, Dr. Jim Delatoso, Paul Shepard, Joe Randazzo, and a group of us went to Dulce. And Dr. Delatoso had actually come up with a what he called the data tabling, which is for deep underground sensing radar. He pioneered this. So we sounded the mountain and then took slices of sound data, pounding it into the mountain, then put them all together like a loaf of bread, like slices on a loaf of bread, with a Cray supercomputer at the University of San Diego. And we proved that the base was there. Actually physically proved. I've got the tape, I've got the whole thing. It's got an atomic reactor at the center. You can see the various levels actually on the, for all intents and purposes, a sonogram, literally like a radar image. And but you can also see, the more interesting part about this is you can actually see the jet tubes underneath because there's things actually coming and going in the bottom. And that's what triggered what we call the Dulce War. Dulce is key to everything that's going on in the background because Dulce was the place where the government's entire plan with the extraterrestrials went completely off the rails. We discovered that they weren't doing what they said they were doing. We discovered that they were actively harming people, and here's how it goes. There was the group of what they call the mole men coming up underneath that were actually completing this tunnel to run what they called the red line, which runs east-west, and the blue line, which runs north-south, I believe. And as they came into this, there was a conflict underground. So somebody got shot in the hand. Testimony by Phil Schneider, for example, who was killed he was murdered in February '96. But that what started a Dulce conflict, because then we sent another team down there and we found that there were the bones of tens of thousands of human beings, like literally bleached. Like they'd taken all these people and they weren't abducting them to do genetic experiments on them or collect sperm and eggs. They were actually boiling them down into soup for some kind of future invasion. And that's what then triggered Reagan to then give the okay for what became known as the Dulce War, to actually clean out the facility. There was a conflict that happened in '77 in which 4 guys died, 2 Secret Service men, which I'm not going to explain, but 4 of our guys died, which was the first big conflict. And then we went in and cleared out the base somewhere around, like I said, it was about '86 or so. But by '89, when we were there, either it was still active, but one way or another, that nuclear pile was still functioning underneath, and it was putting out a frequency of 440 hertz, which is military standard. So it was doing something. Now, after we sounded the base, there were 2 unusual sightings over Dulce. In January, the first week of January, there was a big green glowing ball that was actually reported by the Apaches there that then swept west across the western United States. Actually, right from here, you can see where it went. It actually went over through the sky, went the other side of Catalina, which is right there, and took a left turn. Now, I had a roommate at the time that came in and told me about this, and we saw it in the newspaper the next day because he was out scuba diving out there. Then, a few days later, another green ball came up out of the facility and went over the eastern United States, which was actually then reported in the news. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any real activity around Dulce since then. But as I said, Dulce was the key because that was where we actually gave, under what was known as the Project Sigma Treaty that we signed in '64, that's where we actually then gave them the lower levels of the facility. So we didn't really even know what was going on below what's called Green Level 4 of Dulce until that conflict broke out.
Final question for you. You just pointed to Catalina. Right here, supposedly there's bases underground. A lot of people see craft coming from out of the water, going up into the sky. What do you know about these USOs and the supposed base in Malibu and in the Catalina Channel?
Okay, well, you can actually, the base in Malibu was just revealed. I mean, I've been telling people this for years. And back in the Area 51 days, between '91 and '93, we heard about this, and we would go, actually you can see it right there at Portuguese Bend, right there where Marineland used to be. Now it's a big Trump resort, but there was nothing there back in that days. And we would sit out there and we would see these blue discs actually glowing in the water between here and Catalina. Now, there's a reason, for example, why our government will not allow supersonic air travel to Hawaii or Japan over the South Pacific, because we have so much stuff in the South Pacific. Like, for example, the SST supersonic transport, why did it only fly to Paris? Why didn't it fly to Japan or Hawaii or someplace else? Because we have so much stuff in the South Pacific that we didn't want anything that looked like a sonic missile that they might blow up. Now, you can see underneath Malibu. Now, on the other side of this, you have, well, way up the coast a bit, you've got Vandenberg Air Force Base, but here you've got Point Hueneme, and then you've got Point Mugu here. Point Mugu is where they launched the white tanker jets to chemtrail this entire area. So you'll see the chemtrails out within the next couple of days here. There's one there, there's more there, because they always come right before it's going to rain or when it's going to be foggy. Here comes one now. Here comes the helicopter. But right underneath the hills, all through here, you can actually see on Google Maps, you can actually see how this underground base has actually been mounted underneath the cliffs over in Malibu. Now, from the other side of Catalina, which is right behind us, all that stuff over Skull Island, and they sank Skull Island a while ago, but that's a gigantic naval testing ground there. Now, I spoke to a top-level military guy who was working with what they call SINCPAC in the Vietnam War, and his claim was back in he had a couple of interesting stories. Number one, he was at Area 51 where he saw a huge. He said it looked like an SR-71, but it had a skin on it that felt like a dolphin, and he was being told that this had extra solar capabilities. In other words, the ability to go out to the edge of the solar system and come back. The other thing that he did was that he claimed that he went from a naval base here in Long Beach, actually, and that he got on a submarine, and that submarine actually went through a series of underground aqueducts, and that he actually came up in Kirtland, New Mexico, at the Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, going underground, through a series of tunnels and aqueducts that were built underneath the California shelf. So,
Dr. Sean David Morton, lots of information, incredible insight, things I've never heard before right here at Third Phase of Moon. You know, I got one big question for you.
Okay.
Do you think the government's ever going to reveal what's going on?
Well, it's going to come to a point where they're going to have to. You'll notice how the government responses have changed over the past 70 years, where they've gone from UFOs don't exist to UFOs aren't dangerous, but people who see them are and should be horsewhipped, as the Condon report said, to then now they're going to, we can either confirm or deny. The challenge here might be is that there are no UFOs, they're all IFOs. They know exactly what they are and where they're coming from, so they are telling the truth, saying there are no UFOs. The challenge with any of these governments is, once again, govern and mint means control of the mind. So, mint means mind, actually. So it's all control of the mind. And they've really painted themselves into a corner with all this information. If the government came out tomorrow, if Obama really came out tomorrow and said, yes, there are extraterrestrials, and, peeled off his face and said humans are tasty, which is probably, he's already an illegal alien. Why not an extraterrestrial? Would you believe him is the challenge. And the other challenge would be until they fill the skies, or I'm sure they could play it off all kinds of different ways. Again, they believe that the minute you admit to this, once again, you destroy religions, you possibly destroy, once you introduce the technology, you destroy the economic fabric, you destroy the socio-political fabric, but we are close to it. The biggest thing is the internet's gotten out of the box, and that has become the new sphere, or the seventh chakra of the planet, really. And that free and open exchange of information is preparing everybody for what's coming. Now, so that's my question. That they will have no choice at some point, but they can ignore it and stick their head in the sand for as long as they can.
Freedom of information is happening right now around the world. How will people from watching right here at Third Phase of Moon to listen to you, how do they get in contact with you?
They can actually listen to my show. Go to my website, www.strangeuniverseradio.com. I was one of the original producers on Strange Universe, the TV series back in the 90s. Strangeuniverseradio.com, which is on revolutionradio.rocks. And so there you go. That's how you get in touch with me. Or SeanDavidMorton.com as well.
Sean, appreciate you joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon. And don't forget to listen to drjradiolive.com. Incredible insight there as well. And if you captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs, you have information that you want to get out, share it with the world right here at Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins.
phase of moon. Third phase.
Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins here, just a mile away from LAX, where tens of millions of people travel yearly. Now we're here at a special spot of what people claim could be a jump room to Mars. We're here with Dr. J. Andy Ilias on location. Hey, thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase on location in LA. Dr. J, tell me, what's the significance behind this building?
Well, aside from the numbers, this is the crazy part. Apparently, this building actually houses a jump room, an artificial stargate where people supposedly get to other dimensions, other planets, other solar systems. Mars is the famous example. Again, I don't know how we can verify this, but that is apparently the building where the jump room is located.
Now, who's using these jump rooms? That's the big question. We've had contacts right here at Third Phase Moon that have claimed that President Obama has jumped to Mars. Do you think that the jump room's in this building, Dr. J?
You know, I've heard that very same rumor that he jumped to Mars and from a jump room and not a natural stargate, an artificial one. Now, is it this particular building? That's the key. I wish we could find out. I wish we could prove that rumor one way or another.
Absolutely.
But, you know, it's possible that we're standing at the front of the building where the President of the United States possibly used to jump to Mars.
It's going to take a whistleblower to blow the lid off of what's going on behind us in this building. I know there are a few that have spoken up to the public. One of them spoke to Carrie Cassidy. What did we learn?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that's where the whole story came forward. She'd probably be the expert to ask about jump rooms. This building, the whole room that they talked about, came from a source that apparently jumped into another dimension or another planet. I don't recall what it was, and he told the story to Carrie Cassidy. And so yes, she is definitely the expert on this situation and knows which room, and has apparently spoken to a traveler, per se. That's what apparently they call him.
Let me ask you this. Has it been known or been mentioned that is this extraterrestrial technology at work here?
Well, that's one thing I really gotta say is, of course, remember that Ben Rich, right? Ben Rich, Lockheed Skunk Works, said at a UCLA alumni meeting, at the very end of his lecture, he showed a slide of a flying saucer and then said, "We have things in the Nevada desert that would make George Lucas envious." Then he goes on to say, "We have the technology to take E.T. home." He said this to professional people. Jan Harzan being in the audience, Jan Harzan being executive director of MUFON today. Point I'm getting at is, if someone of that caliber of who's who was talking about technology that would make George Lucas envious, wouldn't you think that it includes something like a Stargate, an artificial Stargate?
You know, Dr. J, I just noticed employee from the building has just come out to smoke a cigarette. Let's see if we could get some questions to him right now while we're here. How's it going? I'm with the YouTube channel Third Phase of Moon, and I was just wanting to know if I could ask you a question. If you mind, we'll blur your face out, and we won't even use it. But I just wanted to ask a question. We've heard in this building that there's a jump room that you could jump from here to Mars within a split second. It sounds wild, but that's what our YouTube channel is all about. We have 250,000 subscribers, and we've gotten information that people said this building, that they're holding a jump room and possibly.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
No word, nothing. Okay, man. Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, my name is Blake Cousins with Third Phase of Moon. Have you ever heard of the UFO phenomenon?
No.
Well, we have 250,000 viewers on our channel.
Okay.
And, this is serious. They claim that this place has a jump room on the 4th floor.
Okay.
That you could step inside and jump immediately to Mars.
Okay.
Do you know anything about that?
No, but
Nothing?
They're probably smoking something on that floor.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Dr. J, does that answer or response surprise you in any way?
No, because that's the whole reason. Apparently it's to hide things in plain sight. Put them in some office building and don't tell anybody except the people that work there, as opposed to having something in some military installation. I mean, I don't know. In some ways that doesn't make sense, because in military installations you have guards.
Yes.
But at the same time,
It seems like they're not trying to hide anything, but what about just being this close to LAX? Now, I find that very suspicious for traveling. You know, this is the third most visited and busiest airport on the planet, or in the United States to say. You know, I think there might be something to that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, actually that crossed my mind too. If, again, Carrie Cassidy being the expert pointing out that this is the building that people are jumping rooms in, you know, why is they, of all locations, pick one that is right where planes are landing? So,
you know,
yeah.
It's interesting. I'm glad we made it here. I don't think we're going to be able to get in the building. There is security that's not allowing us in, but hey, we gave it a shot. Dr. J, off to the next adventure. Let's get to it.
All right.
If anybody's out there has captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs, you have an insider that might have worked at this building, knows anything about jump rooms, have them contact Third Phase of Moon via Skype, Facebook. We're standing by. Blake Cousins will see you.
Phase of Moon. Third phase of Moon.
Check that out. Yo, look at that. What is that? Up in the sky right there. I don't think so. Not with lights like that. Tell you what, I've seen some crazy stuff come over here. That's definitely not helicopters. Hey, what's happening?
Yeah, it may be helicopters. They may have some special lighting.
I've never seen lights like that on helicopters. Let's see if we hear anything. Especially coming out of that storm like that.
Well, it may be something that they're trying to, you know, they sent up this to see and track. But those lights look like candles or flames almost.
They're moving. At first I thought maybe it was Chinese lanterns, but that's not Chinese lanterns. Yeah, the other one just took off the other way, didn't it? What in the world is that?
What was captured in William Chow's backyard in Hong Kong? If you know what it is, leave your comments below. I also want to thank Greg for submitting his footage all the way from Florida. And if you've captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs, you know who to contact. Third Phase of Moon. Share it with us. Share it with the world. Everybody, keep your eyes on the skies. We're not alone. Blake Cousins. We'll see you again next time.
Phase of Moon.
Welcome back. Blake Cousins here, Third Phase of Moon on location, Redondo Beach. Special treat. We're going to be meeting the man that summons UFOs and he's going to join us right here, Third Phase of Moon, Mr. Robert Bingham. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Nice to see you again.
Wow, first time in person with Robert Bingham. We've known and collaborated for, what, 3-4 years now. He's been doing a lot of events in downtown Los Angeles. We're here at Redondo, and we want to get some UFOs summoned. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask Robert some big questions right here. Robert, what got you started into the UFO summoning from the beginning? Was it all about the crowds, the public, or did you get this knowledge from the beginning by yourself? Tell me, how did it all go down?
Well, as you know, after I did that interview with you on Skype, I did a couple of things for Mark Guzman where he invited 40 people. And about 40 to 50 people showed up, and we had a really great outcome. I mean, a lot of craft showed up. And I believe that you told me, why don't you go public? I think that's how it happened. I told you I was going to go public, and then you told me, where are you going to do it? I said, the Park Plaza, and it took off from there. And it took on a life of its own, actually.
Absolutely. You know, it was quite interesting when I got that cold call via Skype. We asked the people from around the world to, you know, share their stories, their UFO videos, and then Mark Guzman calls us via Skype cold call, and he's in kind of a overwhelming state in regards to what he saw and what you shared with him. And I could tell that he was kind of visibly shook, and even his wife was. And what happened next when the people showed up at the Park Plaza Hotel was quite interesting. Let's take a look at this, some of the footage right now. We're back right here, Redondo. Mr. Robert Bingham, the man that summons UFOs. I want to ask you, when did you first realize that you had this special power to communicate with the aliens?
Well, one night I was looking at a room at a place that I was boarding at, and I was going to switch rooms. And it was kind of a little spooky, you know, as far as the Santa Ana winds blowing. And for some reason, my friend says, hey, it's kind of like really strange night tonight. And I said, we're going to see an alien tonight. And so when we actually seen a ship coming down the street, looked like it had diamond facets, and it was all black, and it was just morphing a little. And as it was going down the street, the level of my the second story, my balcony, was just so incredible. I remembered that I said I was, you know, that we were going to see aliens. So the next day, I actually said, well, if I did it then, I'll try it again.
There you go.
And so I did it, and they came, and I kept doing it and repeating this process. And as they came, I finally got a camera. I started recording it and conducting my own little experiments. I didn't want to go public because I didn't want the scrutiny, but I knew one day that I would have to. And so when I ran into Mark Guzman and we did that Skype, it went kind of viral.
Yeah.
I said, well, this is my time to go public. And so,
you know, the rest is history after that.
Yeah.
What's quite interesting is people wanted to know how it's done. What are the techniques? And then you put out a video in regards to the techniques, the steps it is to summon these UFOs. And all of a sudden, Third Phase of Moon started receiving videos from around the world. People that claim they've learned this from you, and it's quite interesting. The phenomenon has grown, and people are picking up on the techniques. What's next, Robert? What's going to be the next big thing for you?
The next big thing for me is doing a documentary and writing a book. That's the next big thing. And actually, I want to try to get, I want to get a TV series and teach people all around the world that they're given a God-given right to summon. God gave us all the ability to do this, but I guess we lost it throughout the ages, and I discovered it in sharing this with the world, and so that's what we're doing now.
You know, I'm quite excited. It's the first time I've been on location while Robert Bingham's going to perform this summoning here in the next few minutes, but I wanted to go over some other footage that we've filmed in the past through people that have submitted right here at Third Phase of Moon videos from on location. Let's get to it.
This one has been here about 10 minutes, and I've been having trouble trying to.
You know, there are some skeptics out there that, you know, claim that it's simply, you know, they're balloons up in the skies. What do you got to say to the skeptics on these UFOs, these anomalies that you captured in the sky?
Well, I'd like to let all the people out there know that they're not balloons. And the reason why they come looking like things that you normally see in the sky is they don't want to raise any fears with the public. Or I'm sure if I went out there and summoned out there where there's, you know, not in a metropolis, that they would come in the true nature, which is a ship and things like that. But they don't want to raise alarms or have anything with the government as far as the government getting mad at me. So.
It's interesting you say that. What's your opinion on the beings that you communicate with? Some people say they're good aliens, they're bad aliens, different species visit planet Earth. The communications that you're having, have you ever come across kind of a, you know, an alien that's not so friendly?
Well, no, they're all friendly, but I mean, I think Wonton is the closest one to being looking kind of malevolent and dark. But Wonton is really a great video. But most of they're all, I'm sure they're malevolent beings, and there's benevolent. And I strictly am attracting the benevolent ones. But although the malevolent ones do come around to check out what their brothers are doing, because they're both brothers.
Sure.
And so, you know, it's what you're going after. If you're going after attracting malevolent things, I'm sure you'll get it. And if you're attracting benevolent, which everybody should be doing, you'll get that also.
You know, it's quite interesting. Some people claim that, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, that summoning these things are, you know, you're conjuring the devil is what some people claim, obviously. Huh?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Sure.
That, in my opinion, that's strictly the powers that be. Religious powerhouses that want you to be not rocking their boat and not searching elsewhere, you know, not having an open mind. But I believe that God gave us this right, you know, to go out there and to talk to Him, you know, not, you know, the powers that be are going to say that they're devils and everything. They've been doing that to all the great thinkers throughout history that ever came up with something different. They always say, oh, the devil, the devil.
The devil did it.
Yeah, the devil. So, no, I leave it up to the people to have their own mind and their own judgment, and that's basically it. You got to make that opinion yourself, and all I know is if you want to know, you can know, and if you don't have to know.
Fascinating. You know, Robert Bingham, there is, what would be the best place to do this location right now in regards to summoning UFOs? There is a pier right out here. Do you think it'd be a good place to do it?
I could do it anywhere, actually, but I would like to do it over there if that you didn't mind.
Okay, let's do it over there. You ready, Brent? Let's follow Robert Bingham and I and the rest of the crew and see if we could see some UFOs. This looks like a good place, Robert. The Redondo Pier. It's a little overcast and windy at the moment. Could this be a problem?
Well, yes and no. I always just have faith, and when you summon, you have to have a lot of faith. And so we'll see what happens. I'm going to go over the technique right now. There's certain steps, and the most important step is to keep it simple. So I'll go over the steps of summoning right now, and we'll see what happens. Okay, guys?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, I'll pick a spot in the sky, like that little cloud right there, and I'll intensely look at it, and I'll telepathically tell them to come with my eyes. And I'll try to look as deep into that sky as I can, and with a message for them to come, and they'll show up, and we'll see what happens. But you know, you got to keep it as simple. I mean, it's really something that you have to have faith and believe that they are going to come. So that's what I'll do right now.
Okay, Robert Bingham is going to be summoning UFOs. He's going over the techniques. We're going to keep our eyes peeled. We got camera guys right here with equipment, long lenses. Let's hopefully we capture something right here on the Redondo Pier.
Okay, and it's really, I don't stay there too long. I keep it simple, and I telegraph that message up there and see what happens.
All right.
A lot of times they come really fast, and sometimes it takes a little time. We'll just see what happens. I find summoning a lot like fishing, and a lot of people, it's like fishing. People get excited on the capture of that craft and what type of craft it is. It's just like people that get big fish and little fish. It's all the excitement. It's a lot like fishing, and so I just wanted to put that out there. So it's a quest for me, but a lot of people, it's more like a hobby. So.
Let me ask you this, Robert. Is some places that you do this have better results than other places?
That's a hard one. I've had results at my studio.
I know. I've seen you do it in Arizona.
I've done it everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
I get a lot of good action at Culver City now because I'm there a lot working Culver City Studios. I guess it's really, my home base is the Park Plaza.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was the first day we did the summoning over there at the Park Plaza, and you had a close encounter that day. You almost lost your life?
Oh, it was, as I left that event, the first event that I ever did, I was driving down the street and I had a green light to turn onto a boulevard, but I couldn't see the traffic coming this way, but I heard an engine, so I stopped before I got into the intersection and it passed my bumper. And if I would have continued, he would have hit me on the driver's side and killed me. But
was it a coincidence?
I believe it was elements within I don't want to say the government, but elements within dark forces that were, they warned me not to go public. They said something could happen to me, and I believe that they protect me up there.
What are some of the repercussions of going public? I know there's a lot of ridicule. We get it right here at Third Phase of Moon. When people don't understand what they're seeing, they come across pretty ignorant, and sometimes,
Well, I think the repercussions, like they told me not to go public with it because it was a need-to-know basis, and the public didn't need to know, and that something could happen to me if I did go public with it. But I believe that the public should know. I think the public's ready to handle all this, and they should know, because Fukushima and the Gulf is a prime example of where these leaders that are keeping us in the dark are heading the world into this kind of, it's not going to last too long, so we got to take the horse by the reins and kind of steer the earth the population into a different way of doing things, a more ecological and a more, you might say a more, the word is I'm trying to get is, micromanagement the earth, we gotta micromanage it, and everything. I'm talking about from waste, especially consumption of resources and things like that, man. We gotta really be aware of what we're doing.
All right, we're having the cameras peeled. We're gonna keep our eyes to the skies. We'll be right back. All right, things are happening right now. What appears to be almost like two suns, but now clouds are covering it up. It's hard to capture. I should have brought my sunglasses. Robert,
yes.
What are we looking at here?
Well, Eva was looking, and I've seen this before on YouTube. Some people catch, there's like two planets, or right here it looks like kind of three of them, but it looks like two suns, and If you get it at the right angle and the right shade, you see it. You just got to keep looking at it. And I believe it's two suns.
Are you catching that, Brent? Anything? It's hard to capture on film, but I'm seeing it with the naked eye.
I got it.
Oh, you did. Got it. Good.
Yes.
Well, something's going down here.
And I've always, you know, when I talk to people at events and things, I've always tell them they got to focus really on what's going on around them, otherwise they'll miss it. And so, just if you really concentrate and focus, you'll see things that, you can see the roundness of something like another sun on the right.
We're here with John. He's been following around Robert Bingham for quite some time. Tell me some of the experiences. You know, you've been close to Robert while he's doing these summoning events.
Right.
What's the most exciting thing that you've seen in the sky?
I've seen a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot, but the triangle deal. MacArthur Park, we filmed a triangle up in the sky in the daytime, broad daylight, 40 people sitting there watching this thing. And it was just amazing. Now, they were putting on a show for us. I mean, it was cool, you know, and it felt good. For some reason, it made you feel good. I don't know why, you know, people go, well, that might be evil shit. But I don't know, it felt good, you know.
You had a sense of euphoria while this was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of morphing objects, things that look like snakes that are lighting up and transforming into all kinds of crazy stuff, you know, and people get all freaked out that these are just balloons sometimes. They go, look, but that's a balloon. But if you look at the tether hanging down, the thing's like a tree trunk. I mean, so you know this is not a balloon. So, but once they get past that, they see the way it's moving. Sometimes it looks like a lollipop. It'll look like a balloon from a distance at a glance. But when you're watching it, thing's moving like a lollipop, the string's like straight. And it's a light, it's some kind of an energy pulse coming from the bottom of this thing to look like a balloon. They're mimicking things.
Let me ask you this, with the multiple eyewitnesses on the ground, that must be a special moment because you're not alone when this is going down. You have your cameras, you have multiple eyewitnesses experiencing the same thing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, that's the best part of it to me is watching people that don't believe it at all, and then they see it. They don't even know what to do. You know, they're like, ha, 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 ha. So that's the fun part. And they go home with this whole new look at life now. I'm gonna go home and stare at the sky, you know, because they want to see it again. And they will. Once you see them once, I think you start seeing them a lot. It's like they trust you or something. I don't know what it is, but they've been following me around. I'll walk out of my house sometimes and just sitting up there. I got no camera. I'm just like, you know, I like it around people around, you know. You just don't know for sure.
Grant here has been following Robert Bingham for quite some time. He's working on a documentary with never before seen footage. I'm excited to see that. Grant, tell me some of your best experiences with Robert. Let's get started.
Well, I met Robert close to 2 years ago now. I saw one of his videos on YouTube, and it piqued my interest. And so I started researching him. I came across a bunch of his other videos, and I sent him an email and reached out to him and let him know that I was a documentarian, and I was curious to meet with him for the possibility of doing a project on him and his experiences. And 2 days later, he called me, and that was a Monday, and then we scheduled a time to meet on Wednesday, and that was the spring of 2013. So I went over to his house in Eagle Rock, and it was quite spectacular.
Have you ever seen a UFO before that?
Myself personally, yes. I've seen them throughout my life. Seen some pretty interesting objects in the sky that were unexplainable, mechanical, and didn't resemble anything man-made or Earth-like.
You were telling me a little earlier that there's going to be some footage that's going to blow you away. I haven't seen it yet, but tell me about what people are going to expect to see in this documentary about Robert Bingham.
Well, I think what people are going to expect to see is a real detailed encounter of how he discovered this. Other people that have also explored this and their results. Jim Morton, Jonathan Castro, several other people throughout the world. I've spoken to quite a few, and their personal experiences. I myself have filmed I couldn't tell you how many objects in the sky with Robert. Some that had that similarity to a balloon, some that were mechanical, some that were angelic, and some that looked like just a form of energy that was emitting its own light source.
You know, it's quite interesting because they do come in all shapes and sizes when Robert Bingham does this. Are you summoning them now? Have you learned the technique yourself?
You know, I gotta be honest with you. I, in the beginning, made a conscious decision not to. Only because I wanted to stay true to the story and not be biased.
Sure.
But I gotta admit that recently I have had some personal experiences on my own without anybody, and that was quite interesting. So I think that being exposed to this consciousness or this reality that's happening, you can't help it. It's once you open yourself up to it and accept the fact that there is more than we know, you start realizing how much more, I suppose.
Okay, Robert Bingham is making contact, and we got Ava, assistant to Robert Bingham, for just a little over 3 years. I'm sure you've been on this roller coaster ride with Robert. What's the most exciting UFO sighting that you've had?
Well, this last one that we just got, the Abracadabra, I saw that one. That was in my front yard. It was great, exciting, and colorful, and I don't see that great, but it came down close enough for us to see it. We've had a lot of sightings in my front yard, a lot. And the other one was the first time that he summoned for me in Highland Park when he was living on Avenue 59. It was beautiful. They came in and they flashed us. They said, "Here we are. Hello, hello, hello." And I was so excited. I said, "There they are." And I can talk to them telepathically. I get messages from them.
Well, you know, Ava, you were just telling me just off camera that you're an abductee yourself, correct? And
I wasn't abducted.
You weren't abducted?
No, I
How did it go down? You volunteered?
Volunteered to go on board ship, and they showed me that I could be, well, what they told me was that I'm a pilot and a navigator. So they showed me what I can do by taking me aboard ship, and all I can tell you is that I saw those stars going by right through the window of the ship, zoom. It was so exciting. I loved it. And they said, "You can drive it now." Telepathically, they told me.
Wow.
I said, "But I didn't see any knobs or anything." I said, "How can I do this?" He said, "You know how." It was clear. Everything was clear. So with the thought.
It was instinctual.
Yes. And with the thought, you tell it what to do. So
wow.
I came out of that. It was kind of like a dream-like, but I know it happened. And I kept thinking about it, you know. What did I just go through? Well, my friends up there, my telepathic friends that I speak to every day. I talk to them every day.
A lot of the times the UFOs will show up, you know, we don't see it with our naked eye, but sensitive camera equipment captures, you know, UFO phenomenon. We're going to be looking over the footage. Robert, I know you have a lot of footage yourself. Is there sometimes when you didn't see the UFO and then you go back and view it and you're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I missed that"?
Yes, there are a lot of times. Just recently I took photos of a helicopter, 3 of them, Army helicopters, and we discovered there was drones, little drones, all around the helicopter. When I do most of my orbs, there's always drones around them. And we only notice the drones when we put them on the monitor and we really look at them and we discover a lot of things. So I always suggest people really look at this stuff and they'll discover that they did capture something.
No, that's that's the interesting thing about it. Millions of people around the world take photographs, videos every day. Millions of hours of stock footage developed on an hourly basis around the world. Who knows what is being captured and what will be discovered and shared. You know, we're still keeping an eye out. We did see the phenomenon of what looked and appeared to be 2 suns in the skies. We're going to have our cameras rolling.
I'm looking right here, and if you look to the right of the buoy, straight down, it looks like a periscope, a stick sticking up. Do you see it? Look to the right, further up of the buoy.
Oh yeah.
You see that stick like sticking up?
It's like there's a submarine periscope
Isn't
sticking
it?
out, like a maybe.
Yeah. Really,
That's strange.
Isn't it?
What we're looking at is some kind of rod, approximately maybe a half-mile out to sea. It doesn't make much sense, Robert. You would think that there would be some kind of safety light, a bell of some sort to avoid some kind of collision.
Right. You know, it's very unusual. I've been looking at the oceans, you know, wherever I'm at, and a buoy would have a big old, like that. You see it? It's red and white, and it's huge. But you can't miss it. But this is just a rod. It's sticking out of the ocean.
I'm gonna look for some maybe law enforcement, Coast Guard, see if we can find out exactly what this object is floating just off Redondo Beach Pier, about a half-mile out. Absolutely a strange phenomenon
Isn't
happening
that
right now.
Really strange. It's like a periscope to me. That's what caught my eye. It's like a huge periscope from a submarine.
Something's happening.
Exactly.
We're looking at photographs that Brent has just captured of what appears to be a saucer, kind of disc-shaped object in the skies. It's definitely not a bird. We see no wings, a head, or a tail of what. I don't know what it is, but something's going down right here as Robert Bingham summons UFOs. Robert, you know, it's been an incredible day inside, in person with Mr. Robert Bingham, the man that summoned UFOs on location right here at Redondo Beach. We noticed an anomaly right out here, just a half a mile off the pier. Mr. Robert Bingham, any last words for the Third Phase of Moon viewers and the world?
Yes, I believe that this year is going to be disclosure, and disclosure is really not going to come from the government. It's going to come from the people such as myself around the world that are bringing this phenomenon and calling them down. And that's the kind of disclosure you're going to get. And I want to one day have everybody summon around the world and bring them over their cities. And this way we'll know, and everybody else will know, that they are real and we're not alone.
The world needs to wake up, and if anybody out there has captured anything incredible in regards to the UFO phenomenon, like Robert Bingham, submit it to Third Phase of Moon via Skype, Facebook, share it with us, share it with the world. Robert, again, thanks a lot for joining us.
It's nice, been nice talking to Blake.
Quite incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Flying object, flying object, flying object.